The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website.
Hello, I'm Bill Ainsley. There are more than 800 places that StarTran can take older adults in Lincoln. I'll be talking today with Brian Preiner, a planner for StarTran. He'll be telling us how to get on the bus and ride in those comfortable seats, and we invite you to come along for the ride.
Welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Jerry Renault. March is National Nutrition Month, and it's the perfect opportunity for us to talk about ways that you can eat better and get healthier. Our special guest today is Aging Partners Nutrition Specialist Jill Engel. She'll be here to talk about how you can eat better and be healthier. Stick around.
Hi everybody, welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Kim Hachia. You know, when I say the words Tony and the Ouija's, King's, Arturo's, Alice's Restaurant, the Legion Club, these all bring back great memories for a lot of people in Lincoln. My guest today, Jeff Korbelick, and I are going to chat about his new book, Lost Restaurants of Lincoln, Nebraska. We had a great talk and I think you're going to enjoy it. Stay with me.
When we think about microbes, like bacteria and viruses, it is generally after we have experienced their effects. I'm Kristen Stows, and my guest, Nancy Haberstich, will share a unique approach to infection prevention. I guarantee you will be entertained and engaged by what she has to tell us today.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Hello, I'm Bill Ainsley, your host for this segment of Live and Learn. There might be some people who will tell you where to go. We're not going to do that, but stick around and we will tell you how to get there and cheaply in the city of Lincoln. With me today is Brian Preiner, who is a planner for the StarTran bus system. Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Brian, what are the big changes over the past few years for StarTran?
Well, StarTran did a comprehensive study back in 2015 to look at all our bus routes, and this study was called the Transit Development Plan. The study looked at such things as where the bus routes go, looked at our bus routes meeting the needs of our customers, and other things such as coverage. Are we covering the right areas? And really the purpose of this study was to improve our transit services and to grow our services as well while attracting new riders. We always like to attract new customers to our services and enhance services for our existing customers. This study was about a year-long process, had lots of people involved, and it was we had a very robust public process which involved lots of surveys. We had public open houses whereby the public would come and talk to StarTran staff about the study. We also had our consulting team there to answer questions. So lots of good dialogue, lots of interaction throughout the whole process. We also had a number of public meetings for the public to come and provide their input. And lastly, we had lots of valuable input from our bus drivers. They are the eyes and ears of the road, so their input was very important throughout this whole process. And really what the study did is also provide some recommendations for future services, a blueprint, if you will. So if we were lucky enough to get additional money down the road, how could we best use our money in the right services? And really what this study resulted in was a number of things, really based on what the public was telling us at the time, was increased evening service. So we're run a little bit later in the evening, which is important for those people who may work late or want to access some of the downtown entertainment activities. We also increased our midday service. Also, we increased some of the frequency on our key routes. So the bus comes more often, a lot more convenient for our customers.
Brian, when we did our first interview, I was very excited to learn about some of the things StarTran does to appeal to older adults.
Yeah, correct. Really two things come to mind is affordability and safety. Riding the bus is very affordable. For example, seniors can ride the bus for half price. You just need to get a senior saver or Go for Less card. We also have lots of different pass options, like our monthly pass, our 20-ride pass, of course, a base fare. We have, and you can buy these passes at various outlets throughout the city, so very convenient to use. And like I said, it's very safe. Riding the bus is 10 times more safe than driving a car. So we also have security cameras installed on all our buses, so we get to keep an eye on things or what's going on. And also, our bus drivers are well trained. They go through a rigorous training process that includes classroom training, sensitivity training, and of course, kind of on the road training.
You have many brand new buses, and apparently folks like to ride them, those nice new green buses.
Yeah, that's right. These new green buses do look great, and I'm going to add they all run on compressed natural gas, and you can see there at the top is where we store all the compressed natural gas tanks. You can't really see them, but that's why the buses are higher, as we store or hide all the compressed natural gas tanks up there. And these CNG buses, as they're called, are really good for the environment, and we do intend to purchase more in the future, I might add. And they're very comfortable. The technology buses and just overall, the buses have improved over the years. They're safer to ride, they're much more quieter, and our riders really like them.
You don't have to step up into the new buses, and there's even a ramp to make it even easier to board.
Yes, the buses, like I said, have really improved over the years, and one of those things is the accessibility. The ramp is really easy to use. You just step right on board, and it just flops down, and just get on board, and really easy for customers to use.
And once folks have gotten on the bus, StarTran can take them all over town.
That's right. StarTran makes it really easy for you to get to where you need to go. Like I said, we've increased some of our services during the midday for example, seniors who want to take the bus to doctor's appointments or shopping or whatever. We have different routes they can take and different services. We also have about over 800 bus stops located throughout the community, and all of our bus stops have the bus route number on the sign, so you know which bus route you're getting on. And they hit a lot of the key destinations, like I said, in the city. Major shopping areas, hospitals, parks, and I might add, all our bus routes serve all the Lincoln Senior Centers.
That's really good, especially for somebody my age. To plan your route, you can go online, look at an app, and find out where your bus is right now.
Yes. We have some different technology tools that we have implemented over the years. One of those is the online trip planner, which is, I'd kind of describe as booking an airline flight. You type in your origin and your destination, and then you do this on the computer. Just type in where you want to go, or where you're at, where you want to go, and it'll tell you what bus route to take, where the closest bus stop is to walk to, and then estimated walking distance to get there. So really handy. And another tool we have is a real-time bus tracker, which we call the Get On Board, again, on our website. And this allows you to track the location of your bus in real time, so kind of give you an idea of when you need to get out of the house and catch a bus. And lastly, another tool we've recently implemented, it's very popular, becoming very popular, is what's called token transit. And this just allows you to pay for the bus using your smartphone. And you can buy a 20-ride pass or a monthly pass all on your smartphone. Just, use a credit card, put the information in, and when you board the bus, just show it to the driver, and away you go.
And that's not all. Tell us about the BusLink program that is coming soon.
Yes, the BusLink. We are very excited to start that program. We'll be launching that soon. And this has lots of great information for our customers. It has information such as detours, any alerts that our public needs to be aware of. Also helps you locate the nearest bus stop. You may know what bus route you want to take, but you don't know where the bus stop location is. This will help you. And it's a trip planner, all at your fingertips. Excuse me.
That all sounds so exciting that I wouldn't mind riding the buses just to be riding them. We have many bike trails in Lincoln all over town. Maybe somebody wants to put their bike on the bus and then ride the bike trail. They can do that as well. So Brian, how does it work to put your bike on the bus?
Really, it's very easy. Bike racks We started many years ago. They're very popular. Our bus riders really like them. And just really 3 easy steps. You drop the rack down, put your bike inside the slots in the rack, and then to secure the bike, there's a support arm you put over the front tire, and that really holds it in place. You just want to remember to take off any water bottles or backpacks you may have on the bike so they don't fly off when the bus is in motion. We don't want that to happen.
So what parks and trails can you get to with ease using StarTran?
Well, our bus routes, about 20 bus routes we have, cover many of the Lincoln's trails. Thanks to Lincoln's great trail system, you can take the trail and hop on the bus and get to where you need to go. And parks, a lot of our bus routes take you to the many popular parks such as Holmes Lake, Trago Park, Woods Park, just to name a few. And I know my kids like going to Antelope Park because of the great playground there, so you can take the bus there.
And you can ride those beautiful green buses, stop at hundreds and hundreds of places, and even put your bike on the bus and go to even more locations. But this isn't all that StarTran does for older adults. Folks can even get picked up right at home. You even have handy van service.
That's right. The handy van service is a door-to-door service for persons with disabilities who are unable to ride a regular fixed route bus. And there's one of our new handy vans we got that also run on compressed natural gas. And to ride the handy van, you would just fill out a registration form through the League of Human Dignity. We work well with our partners at the League, and you fill out an application and they would determine whether or not you qualify to use the handy van service.
So many years ago, there were trolleys in Lincoln that actually ran on railroad tracks. The ones on the tracks are long gone. But if people want to relive the good old days or just have some fun, they can still ride a trolley, but these run on rubber tires. So Brian, where can you go on the trolleys?
Well, our downtown trolley serves many locations, many popular destinations such as the Lead Center, UNL campus, State Capitol. If you want to enjoy a lot of the great restaurants in the Haymarket, it'll take you there. Also the Sheldon Museum. If you want to check out some books at the library, it'll take you right to the front door of the Bennett Martin Library. And if you want to take the grandkids to the Children's Museum, it'll take you there as well. So that'd be a fun day for the grandkids and grandma and grandpa to take the trolley.
And these trolleys can be really decorated beautifully on the interior. So what are the types of special activities that you have for them?
Well, for the unveiling of our new trolleys, we did a kickoff event in December located at Tower Square in downtown Lincoln, where we had music and some food available. Santa Claus stopped by and Mrs. Claus stopped by, and the mayor rode the trolley as well, so it was nice to see him. And these trolleys are kind of emulate the historic trolleys. They have brass railings, woodwork throughout, so they're really neat inside, cushioned seating. And in the summertime, the windows, we can remove those so you get that really open air experience during the summertime.
So great things are happening now, but what's coming in the future?
We're excited to further our commitment to alternative fuels. We'll be purchasing and getting some electric buses. Those are coming later this year. So again, we're enhancing our fleet with some more alternative fuels. We're very excited about that. Also, the City of Lincoln is working on an autonomous shuttle project whereby a driverless shuttle, it'd operate through downtown, and you could ride it or book a ride, so to speak, using your phone. Real easy to use. Like I said, the City of Lincoln is still working on that project.
Very good. But for more information about fares and routes and any of the topics mentioned here today, just type StarTran in your browser and read to your heart's content. And when you want to talk to somebody in person, you can just call the StarTran office at 402-476-1234, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. There's just so much more that we don't have time to get into today, and maybe we can do another time. Brian, folks might contact you for further information at Brian Priner, Planner 2. It's 402-441-7673 or BPRAEUNER at lincoln.ne.gov. And it's really been a pleasure having you on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
For many of the places older adults want to go in Lincoln, StarTran provides an excellent and comfortable way to get there. This all proves that wherever you are going, it is never too late to live and learn how to get there.
Vulnerable and senior adults might be living in silent fear of elder abuse and financial exploitation. We can do something about it. The Nebraska DHHS recommends that communities maintain and improve resources such as public transportation and senior centers to prevent social isolation. Engage professionals in various disciplines to find solutions to end elder abuse. Every year, June 15 is observed as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, an opportunity to ensure justice for all.
Hello, and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud. Today, we want to talk about nutrition. It's something that's very important to me. I should do better at it, but I'm going to hopefully get some good information today. It's something that you should be concerned about as well. In fact, it's something all of us should be concerned about. It's the new year. People are making resolutions. They want to eat better. They want to get in shape. They want to be healthier. And we want to help you out today. So we have a very special guest with us. It is Aging Partners Nutrition Specialist Jill Engel. Jill, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about nutrition. Nutrition is important. It's important for everyone, right?
It is. Nutrition is such an important part of everyone's life, and so I'm very excited to be visiting with you about it today.
Very good. Okay, it's March. This is National Nutrition Month. Tell us what that means, actually.
Yes, so National Nutrition Month is celebrated every March by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And what it focuses on is bringing light to the importance of healthy eating. Looking at the importance of making informed food choices, developing good nutrition habits, good physical activity habits. So every March is increasing the public's awareness on those topics.
And that's really the key thing, isn't it? Good habits. We all have good intent,
Yes.
but sometimes our habits are not good as we eat late at night or we eat something and we go, oh, I can get away with this, but that's really developing those good habits. That's the key.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about some of the myths about seniors and nutrition, because it really, I think as we go through these, everybody will have heard these at some point in time. But let's see if we can debunk a few of these myths, because I think, again, we hear them all the time, and so let's talk about some of them. The first one is that seniors can eat whatever they want. As you get older, you don't have to worry so much about it. That's just not true, is it?
No, it's really important for everyone, no matter what their age, to follow a balanced diet. And this would include getting a variety of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and low-fat dairy. So even when we have foods that might be higher in fat or sugar or salt, it's really important to practice moderation. So having it every once in a while versus having it every day, as well as practicing good portion control and making sure that we're staying on top of with the amount that we eat.
Yeah, and that moderation is the tough part, isn't it?
It is. So just keeping in mind that having, some of those higher sugar, higher sodium foods every once in a while is okay, but having them every day may not be the best choice.
Yes, I'm going to keep working on that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to myth number 2, and that is that as we get older, a senior's nutritional needs don't change, and that's. We just think we can keep doing the same kinds of things. It's not true.
No, absolutely not. There are many times in our life where our nutritional needs vary. So from when we are a child to a teenager to an adult, our nutritional needs vary throughout our entire life. And especially for older adults, it's really important to pay attention to some of the key nutrients. And that would be protein, calcium, vitamin D, fiber, potassium. Those are all really important nutrients for older adults to pay attention to and make sure that they're getting enough. So for example, protein is really important because as we age, our body tends to lose more muscle mass. And with this loss of muscle mass can come with increased risk of falls, decrease response to illness or disease. And so making sure that we're keeping up with the amount of protein can have really important effects on our overall health as well as protecting our immune system.
Yeah, and that really leads into our next myth, because there are a number of people out there who sort of go, well, I understand that I need some more of that, so what I'll do is I'll just take the supplements. I can take the pills, and that is going to take the place of eating good food that has all those nutrients in it. And that's probably, I guess it can be helpful, and I'm bad at this too, but there's probably a better way to go.
Supplementation can be a little tricky. A lot of people do think of it as it's the type of insurance policy to make sure that we're getting everything that our body needs. But something to keep in mind is that our food should be our main source of our nutrients. And with this food comes a lot of things that we might not get from supplements. The fiber, the phytochemicals, some of those things that have really been shown to protect the body against certain diseases, certain cancers. So the food should be the main source of where we get our nutrients from. And taking a multivitamin, taking some supplements may be something that would be important, but it's something that you should visit with your physician about to decide if that's the best option for you.
Yeah, I was going to say lots of people fill their medicine cabinet with all kinds of supplements and things that they should take, and should I be taking fish oil or shouldn't I? And there are different reports that come out, or should I be taking some other kind of supplement? How do you know what's right and what's wrong?
And it's tricky to know because everybody's nutritional needs is different. So keep in mind that more is not always better. And sometimes if we overload with supplements or we overload with vitamins, this can have negative effects on the body. We can get too much vitamins. So for example, too much calcium or too much vitamin C might cause digestive issues or potential kidney stones. And that's not something that we want. So it's difficult to know what is the best for every single person, so visiting with your healthcare provider would be the best option to decide what's the best for you. Okay.
Now, sort of going along with that, let's talk about eating out. I mean, it's one of the things that, to me, it's one of the great joys of life, right?
Yeah.
Is going out and trying new restaurants and trying new different kinds of foods, and that's okay to do that, right? It's just it's easy to get into that habit of doing it a lot, all the time, and also with the fast foods.
Absolutely. And we live in a society where fast food, eating out can be part of a regular way of life, or it can be part of an every once in a while type of thing. And whatever it is for us, it's important to keep in mind that there are healthy options when we do dine out. And it's important to make sure that we have the control. So planning ahead, looking at the different options that are on the menu, and then practicing good portion control. Those are all really important things to keep in mind when we are dining out. A lot of your restaurants have heart healthy or light choice menu options. So looking through those can help to make better food options, as well as paying attention to the descriptions on how the food is prepared. Trying to choose foods that are baked or roasted or grilled rather than fried or anything like that. So that can help to decrease the fat and the calories and make sure that we're staying on track with our diets as well.
If you were just going to give a couple of things that people might do, the one I always keep hearing of is when you order a salad, it's good to order the salad, but it's the salad dressing that gets you ordered on the side.
It is, yes. Ordering the salad dressing on the side allows you to have more control over how much you put on it. And another good thing with salad dressing is dipping your fork in it rather than pouring it on. That way you can minimize the amount that you have on the salad.
Okay, great idea.
So.
Okay, and how about, this is one, you see ads for it on television all the time. It's the supplemental shakes. And they probably have some good things as a part of that, but it's not, again, a replacement.
Correct. And keeping in mind that majority of our meals should come from whole foods, and making sure that we're eating a balanced diet with the fruits and the vegetables, the lean proteins, the whole grains, the low-fat dairy. And a lot of those supplements may not have all the nutrients that we need. So again, looking at food as the main source of what our meals should consist of and what our diet should be.
Okay, so again, it's fine, but not a replacement.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Last but not least, I guess, in terms of the myths is that, and again, we hear this a lot, and I even hear it from seniors sometimes, is, oh, you know, my appetite just isn't as good as it used to be when I was younger. And shouldn't be that way, right?
Correct. There's a lot of different reasons why someone's appetite could change as we age. It could be physical changes in the body, cognition changes, medications, chronic diseases. So there's a lot of things that can impact our appetite, and it is really important to make sure that we stay on top of loss of appetite right away, because it can cause some very long-term damages such as nutritional deficiencies and loss of lean muscle mass and eventually malnutrition. So staying on track on the loss of appetite is really important. And one of the things that our registered dietitians at Aging Partners suggest is to consume smaller meals throughout the day. So that way you're having multiple times where you're eating at least something throughout the day, which can stimulate the appetite at that point, and choosing nutrient dense foods. So you're getting more bang for your buck, so to say. So choosing more of the fruits and the vegetables and the whole grains and the nuts and seeds and those types of foods. So.
And of course, I spoke too soon. We have one more.
Yeah.
And this is one that I think it doesn't just pertain to seniors, but it pertains to lots of folks. If you are healthy, you don't have any real problems, then you think, I don't have to worry about nutrition. Not really the case.
Not really the case. There is so much information out there, and it does get confusing to know what is right, what is not right. And so a registered dietitian can help weed through a lot of that information to help decipher what is the best options for you. And whether you're looking to manage a chronic disease or looking to lose weight or looking overall to eat better overall, it's important to visit with a dietitian because they can really help to prioritize and set goals that are specific for you.
Great advice. Okay, as always, I'm running way too long. So I really do want to get to the program that Aging Partners has, and it's really a great opportunity. Lots of times seniors don't have the way to be able to create these meals and eat like they're supposed to. So Aging Partners really has come up with a way to help people out. Tell us about this program.
We do. So we serve congregate meals 5 days a week. We have various locations in Lancaster County, and we serve noon meals those every Monday through Friday. And we also serve what we call our meals to go option, and that is a sack meal that we provide so seniors can take that home for their evening meal. And we have a variety of different food options on our menu that are all approved by a registered dietitian, so they are balanced and healthy. And we also provide nutrition education programs to our various senior centers throughout Lancaster County, presenting on different nutrition topics that are important for seniors.
Yeah, I do want to hit on that in just a minute, because I know that you love to go out and do those and do those things. But let's. It's not just at the Aging Partners Center downtown. There are all kinds of locations.
Yes.
So if somebody says, "Gee, I would love to be involved," or "I'd like to be a part of this. This sounds great." What should they do? Because there are also, you provide some transportation, and
we do.
And there's lots of different locations.
Yeah, so if you are looking for more information on the locations, we have 10 different locations that we serve in Lancaster County. You can go on our website and look at all of those locations. And like you mentioned, we do provide transportation. So if getting to the senior center for the meal is a challenge for you, then you can call us and we can look at providing the transportation for you as well.
Right, and we had the number up on the screen, so we hope that people will take advantage of that, write it down, go to the website. You can see where the different locations are. That probably has some other phone numbers that are at those specific locations as well to be able to help people out.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk, I think we have just a little time left. Let's talk about if somebody has a group or wants somebody to come out and talk about nutrition, give them some ideas of ways that they can eat healthier.
Yeah.
You are willing to do that. Other folks at Aging Partners who want to do that as well.
Yes. So we have different nutrition staff that are available to go out to the community and provide nutrition education. programs, and we have a variety of topics that we can discuss, or going over topics that would be the most beneficial to that group as well. So we do provide that, and it would be something that if you are interested, you could definitely call our office and we could set that up.
Fabulous. Jill, thank you so much. We just touched on the surface of
Yes.
nutrition. Come back and see us again sometime.
Thank you. I would love to.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. And thank all of you for tuning in. We appreciate that. And always remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Hi, I'm Randy Jones with Aging Partners. Did you know that Lincoln expects a 75% increase in the number of seniors living in our community over the next 15 years? Aging Partners is a community service that provides fitness programs to help keep older adults strong and healthy. This year, Lincoln Cares donations are providing funds for new fitness equipment. You can help make this happen. Sign up to support Lincoln Cares and add $1 to your LES bill each month.
Hi everybody, welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Kim Hachia. When I say the words Tony the Ouija's, Arturo's, the Legion Club, these conjure up memories for many, many people. My guest today is Jeff Korbelik, who's written a new book called The Lost Restaurants of Lincoln, Nebraska, and we're going to talk about some of those old-time former restaurants, former glory days. Jeff, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kim. Glad to be here.
Thanks. So your book is selling like gangbusters.
Yeah, it's doing very well.
Yeah, and it's like in a second printing, I think. So it seems like everybody has a favorite long ago golden oldie of restaurants. So how did you get involved in writing about these restaurants?
Arcadia Publishing, it's out of South Carolina. They had reached out to me via email, and they had asked if I knew of anybody who could write a book for them, a memory book. This is what they specialize in, and I had told them, well, ideally that would probably be me, but I was kind of busy. Last thing you want to do is, when you spend your day writing, is to go home and write some more. Yeah. So I gave them a couple of names, but then they came back to me and said, we'd really like you to do it. I have 20 plus years of writing about restaurants for the Journal Star. So with some hemming and hawing and some encouragement from historian Jim McKee and my wife, Rebecca, I decided to go ahead and do it.
So you were the reviewer, or still continue to be the reviewer, restaurant reviewer for the Journal Star. So.
Yeah, I've been doing that since 1998 when we launched Ground Zero, the entertainment magazine, and it just kind of fell into my lap. I didn't have any culinary experience per se, but just the journalism and English background. And but my boss at the time said, hey, what restaurant are you writing about this week? And then she would come back and say it again the following week. And originally it was supposed to be spread out among the staff, but as I said, it fell into my lap, and I've been doing it for 20 plus years now. So.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems like everybody has to eat, so you might as well get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So,
as I always tell, when I give talks, I say it's kind of like being a TV critic or a movie critic. After you see something, you have an opinion. So it's the same way with food.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So tell me quickly about the process. How did you decide what was in, what was out?
Yeah, that was probably the most difficult part about the project, because there are so many restaurants in Lincoln's history. I started out by taking city directories and going back to the 1900s, early 1900s, and just kind of jotting down names. And when I would see one that was prevalent over the years, if it had been there for 5 years or 10 years, they kind of made the list. Mm-hmm. And went from there. There were some no-brainers, of course, the biggies that people remember, Tony and Luigi's and Alice's and King's. Right. Those are the biggies. So they had to be in there. And so then I just kind of went through, and a lot of it was just personal. If I had a memory about it, maybe other people did. So just chatting with folks, mm-hmm. and just winnowing down the list. And I've heard a lot of people said, "Hey, you forgot this one,"
Right.
So
right. Yeah. So maybe there's a volume 2.
Right. It could be a volume 2. And another reason, I could have made the book even bigger, but I was on a deadline. I only had 6 months to put this together.
Yeah, and I've recently completed a project that had a very tight deadline, and you just feel like a type and fool because
because you got to do the research, and then you got to do the interviews, and then you got to do the writing.
Right,
so,
and that was I enjoyed that. Part of the book is that it's filled with interviews and of people that were engaged or involved with those restaurants.
Right.
That really adds a personal touch, more so than just sort of a dry recitation of. And this restaurant was at 13th and O Street for 15
Correct.
years, and you know. And,
Right.
So I.
Yeah, and that part of it's in there because you need to have the facts and
Exactly.
figures, right? But what I wanted to do when I was writing the stories was personalize it a little
Right,
bit. So
right.
I interviewed, 15 to 20 folks who own these restaurants or had a connection to these restaurants, and that was probably the most fun. You got to sit down, and these people who had been out of the business for a while got to relive some memories themselves.
Well, and everybody likes to talk about themselves.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
So that
yeah.
I mean, that's a journalism trick. Just like, tell me about yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
love that. People
Yeah.
love that. So we're going to talk about a few of the sort of must-haves.
Okay.
And
sure.
one of them we talked about was the Legion Club, and I think we have
Yeah.
a picture here coming up from the Legion Club. So who
Yeah.
is this gentleman? And
That's Bob Logsdon. He's a long time the late Bob Logsdon, late general manager of the Legion Club. The club started downtown and then moved out to O Street, where folks are most familiar with. And it was kind of the place especially during the football season, because the late Bob Devaney and his assistant coaches would hang out there after the games, and they were very accessible. You could come up to Bob and say, "Hey, great game," and he would chat with you. So a lot of people have memories about that. The Legion really took off, if you remember. Post-World War II, a lot of the veterans, this was a veterans club, this is where they hung out. And so they would go and have a meal, and then there would be dance bands. And so a lot of famous artists, including like Jay McShann from Kansas City, the great jazz musician, would come up and play at the Legion Club. So people made an evening out of it, and a lot of people have memories of that. And the place was huge. I mean, it was a big place. And,
Yeah.
and Bob was the general manager for a long, long time there. So
cool.
Yeah.
So I think the next picture we have is from Tony and the Ouija's, which everybody remembers. And so who's this gentleman? And
well, that's Tony.
That's Tony.
Yeah, Tony Alicio, and he was the face of Tony and Luigi's. And I think part of the success, people ask me, why was Tony Luigi so successful? Well, they had great food, and had a great ambiance, but the big part of it was Tony himself.
Right.
He made a point of getting to the tables and saying hello to folks, and he had a memory for names. You may be there and may not come back for another 2 years, and you'd walk in the door and he'd be like, "Hey Fred, how you doing?" So
and it kind of was at least in my family, it was a destination place for a birthday or an anniversary or a celebration thing. You'd go to the gondola room.
That's right. Yeah, all the rooms had names. It was a very event-driven place. And again, on football Saturdays was huge. There would always be a line out the door. That was one of the best chapters I enjoyed writing. I sat down with Tony's son, Mike Alicio, and then Mike's cousin, Tony Massinio. And if you've ever sat down with a couple of Italians and talk about food, it's pretty fun. So I just sat the tape recorder between them and I just let them go. So yeah. And they had a lot of memories. And that's probably the restaurant, and Tony Massinio told me that they get most asked to return, to bring back to the Lincoln dining scene.
Or bring back some of the, their particular minestrone soup.
Right,
They had this crazy little steak called the Nebraska.
Yeah, yep, it was a Nebraska in the shape
of Nebraska. And they made a big effort to set it down in front of you so that you could see that.
Yep.
Nebraska
to see that
shape.
chef.
And it's
Yep.
like,
and
what?
That's in the book. That's in the
brilliant
book. So,
marketing.
yeah.
Brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
And they knew what they were doing out
Right.
there. So.
One of my favorite stories that Mike told me was that he went to Tony and Luigi's to pick up his dad, to drive him somewhere, and the folks had told him that his dad was in the back talking to Bob Taylor, and he thought, well, Bob Taylor, the weather guy, famous Channel 10-11 weather guy. So he went back there, and when he walked in the room, it wasn't Bob Taylor. It was a Bob Taylor, but it was Robert Taylor, the actor. And Mike did a double take, but Tony was talking to him like he was, just the guy from down the street.
Yeah.
So
that was an amazing place. I think the next picture we might have is Arturo's?
Yeah, this is the second location in this photo. Arturo's was on originally the Taco Hut. It opened in the early 60s. The Longoria family opened it. They introduced Mexican food to Lincoln, Nebraska. And they were on the infamous Block 35, which sat as a parking lot, as most folks know, for a long time. It's now Embassy Suites. A lot of famous places were there back in the day. The Taco Hut, which then became Arturo's. Dirt cheap. You know, one of my favorite haunts was McGuffey's. Was a bar there.
I haunted there too.
Yeah. So it was there, and then Arturo's had another location across town. The Longorias ran it for a long time, and Art and Carmen. Again, it was about the people. So usually Carmen was right there at the podium when you would walk in, and she would seat you, and then Art would walk around and chat with you and that kind of thing. And most of the kids worked there at one time or another, so they would be either waiting your table or working back in the kitchen, and of course the people remember the Tachas.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. That does seem to be a through line of very successful restaurants. Is they're people driven.
Yes.
They have to have good food, but it's people driven.
Yes, and that's how that's how they're identified with.
Right.
With Tony and Luigi's, it was Tony Alicio. With
Right.
King's Food Host, it was Larry Price and the
I
Price
think we do have a
brothers,
picture of
so.
King's coming up. Of course, King's had that cool little thing of you called in your order on the phone.
Yeah, and you see this, and I
server-
believe this is a photo from the one on 48th Street.
Okay.
And historian Jim McKee loaned me this photo. But as you can see, these are the booths. And when I was a little kid, this was a treat for my sister and I to go in, and we got to call in the orders. Yeah. So the menu would be right there, and Mom would hand you the receiver, and you got to talk to the kitchen.
Well, and they rode that crest of, the rise of the hamburger.
Right.
But they also had the cheese Frenchie.
Yes, the cheese Frenchie,
and that was
the tuna and cheese Frenchie. So
King's was. Yeah, and it was sort of cool that King's kind of became, I don't know that they became a worldwide phenomenon, but they were.
Oh yeah,
they
especially
were a mighty,
in the Midwest.
They were a mighty chain.
Yeah,
during their
and there
heyday.
were several locations in Lincoln, and when I've done some signings here in the past, people would come up to me and say, "Yeah, I used to go to this King's here, or I used to go to this King's, and I met so and so here, and we used to hang out here." That.
Well, and there were Larry had spin-offs then too, like the Pantry. Was that a Larry?
Yes. So a lot of restaurants are credited with, came from King. So the Pantry, and then a little later Howard's Pantry, which was over on 48th Street. Fred and Ruby opened up in Parkway Lanes, the lounge there. So and some of these places, like the Parkway Lanes, the kitchen still exists there. Yeah, and the burgers are still alive at Amigos. So Amigos picked up the recipes, and you can get the cheese Frenchie there. Yeah.
Wow. So, are there any sort of we talked about the through line of restaurants are people driven. But are there any through lines in terms of, I know you've said that Lincoln is we're a big sports bar town.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are now. As you doing the research and stuff, it was back in the early 1900s where people would get their meals were boarding houses. There weren't restaurants per se, but there were a lot of boarding houses, and then the owners of these places would open up a kitchen and then feed the people, down in the dining areas. And then the trend. Then you saw a lot of these restaurants have addresses that are downtown.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, and so you saw that configuration. In fact, you see a picture of the old Tony and Luigi's, and it was out on 52nd and O, and it looks like it's out in the country.
It was in the country. Yeah.
And Tony Massinio had told me back then when they opened, that was kind of a rough part of town. It was a little bit scary to go out there.
It was on the edge.
Yes, it was on the edge. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so you saw that, and then in the 60s you saw the supper clubs, and the bottle clubs, until the change in the liquor laws in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And so you saw a lot of that, and that's where where the Legion was popular, and places like the Esquire Club.
Right. Oh yeah,
which is in the book.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much. We could have talked for another 25 minutes, but we're running out of time. So, I really thank you for coming, and
thanks, Kim.
I encourage everybody to look for Jeff's book. I think it's pretty available around Lincoln once it gets into a second printing. And thank you. And I want to remind our viewers that you're never too late to live and learn.
Vulnerable and senior adults might be living in silent fear of elder abuse and financial exploitation. We can do something about it. The Nebraska DHHS recommends that communities maintain and improve resources such as public transportation and senior centers to prevent social isolation. Engage professionals in various disciplines to find solutions to end elder abuse. Every year, June 15 is observed as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, an opportunity to ensure justice for all.
Infection prevention is paramount in our lives and health. I'm Kristen Stows, and I'm so pleased to have as my guest health educator Nancy Haberstich, who is on a mission to help create infection-free families. Nancy, I'm so glad to have you on Live and Learn.
Well, thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Let's talk about your background and how your interest in infection prevention took shape.
Well, you know, I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse for almost 50 years now.
That's hard to believe.
I started out with lots of staff nurse positions in pediatrics and orthopedics, that type of thing, and I did some work as a clinical instructor with nursing students, so that's how I kind of tasted education and the potential there. But when I moved to Lincoln, I took a job at Lincoln General as the infection control nurse, which is kind of my defining nursing role.
Yes.
And I was there for 17 years.
Okay.
And then I moved on to do international consulting in that area of infection control and prevention. And so I spent time on 5 continents in 6 countries teaching about microbiology as it relates to infection prevention. But one thing I discovered, nobody likes to hear about infection, and nobody really cares a lot about microbiology until, you know, they need to.
Sure. That makes sense. So is that how you got your idea for your nanobugs then?
Yeah, you get tired of addressing audiences of 300 people in Japan and their eyes roll back in their head when you start talking about microbes.
But you actually used a different approach.
Yeah, and I decided, okay, let's use some scientifically designed microbes that are cartoon microbes, and I called them microbes with attitude.
Yes.
And so I used those as teaching tools to engage the audience, at least to get their curiosity going.
Yes, well, and it does. These are wonderful graphics. I love the fact that they are microbes with attitudes. I think that is just very, very characteristic of what they are. And we are going to look at 3 of your nanobugs and have you kind of describe their characteristics to us.
Well, one of the important things about the nanobugs is they must have scientific integrity. And so I tried to take what the microbe looks like under the microscope and fashion its appearance in the image that we chose.
Okay.
And so if it's a rod-shaped bacterium, then it will have a rod-shaped body. Okay. And if it's like a strep, where it's balls in a chain of balls, like you see here with Strep Pyogenes, then that helps people to remember and assimilate the morphology, as we call it. And you know, Jurassic Park and the paleontology, when I saw those movies, I didn't know about dinosaurs, but now if I say to somebody Brontosaurus, you know that shape, or I say pterodactyl, you know that shape. So I was trying to kind of copy that concept.
A picture is definitely worth 1,000 words, and I think it's a wonderful learning tool, particularly for this. And you have found that as well, I'm sure.
Well, so let's look at some samples. This first one is Strep Pyogenes, and it's the bacterium that causes strep throat.
Okay.
And so you can see it's a chain of balls. And then we added the attitude with the fire coming out of its mouth. And then each one of the nanobugs has a one-liner or a slogan. And so that one says, "You won't sing a note with me in your throat."
Very good.
So that combination helps you to really remember what that microbe is all about.
Sure, sure. So, and I know that you have actually even developed a coloring book that I did see the other day, and it features your nanobugs. It introduces some new rules of the kitchen, and I have to say, as I was paging through it, I thought I better revisit what I'm doing in my own kitchen. So let's talk about a few of those rules. Hand washing, that is so important. Please give us a word on hand washing.
Well, and you know I'm going to tell you that
Yes,
it's important.
yes.
And if you watch all the cooking shows, you won't see them taking the time after cracking the eggs into the batter to go wash up. But it's important. And so as we edit that out of a show where you're learning about cooking, you're going to miss some of those things. So I really want to make that point that after handling raw meat, raw chicken, raw eggs, you should be stopping, washing, and hand sanitizer won't get it in that situation.
Right, that's a good point to make. So you have to do more than just wash your hands at the beginning of your food prep. It should be all during. Yes, I understand. And I do something all the time, and you're telling me, no, I should not be doing this. Don't wash chicken or raw eggs in the shell before you cook them. And why is that?
Well, that was kind of a new revelation for most of us, Kristen, so don't feel bad. They actually did studies where they took a fluorescing substance and they put it on the surface of a chicken or a turkey or whatever. And then as the cook was washing the chicken in the sink to get all that slimy stuff off, and then they turned a black light on, and you could see the fluorescing substance was deposited all over the sink, the countertops, the clothing of the person.
Oh my.
And so the idea is, don't wash the chicken. You won't accomplish really anything. You won't send salmonella all down the drain. So the idea is, take the chicken and put it immediately into the pan, get it in the oven up to temperature, and kill them, and you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so we're actually doing more harm than good if we try to
spreading
wash.
it around.
Spreading it around. I know temperature is of utmost importance. We are going to put a graphic on screen for us to visualize because that makes it easier. Refrigerator management, a term that I had never heard before you used it. What are the do's and don'ts in terms of our refrigerators? The temperatures they should be, even how we organize them, and how often should we be cleaning our refrigerators?
Well, there's no real hard and fast rules to how often to clean your refrigerator. My mother used to clean it once a week. When we cleaned it out, we went to the grocery store and then we washed the refrigerator. But we don't operate like that in households anymore. So it's based on the drips, the chicken juice drips, and separation of ready-to-eat foods from those that are raw.
Okay.
And it's also based on how much activity your refrigerator gets. If you've got lots of people opening that door and going through the contents, or if there's just one of you, or if you've got lots of raw foods and you're shopping every day and loading and unloading.
Sure. Okay.
Manage your refrigerator so things don't drip down on things that are not going to be cooked and achieve that temperature.
Sure.
And then you should also make sure that the temperature inside the refrigerator is appropriate.
Okay.
And so it's good to have a thermometer in there, and you should check to make sure that it's 40 degrees or less.
Okay. And I know a long time rule has changed. It used to be that we would leave our leftovers on the counter to cool before putting them into the refrigerator, and you're saying that is really not the way we should be doing it now.
No, go for it. That graphic shows that the temperature between 40 and 140 is what's called the danger zone. And I like to think of it as the playground for nanobugs, especially Salmonella and Clostridium perfringens and E. coli 0157. And so they have the most fun at those temperatures. So you want to keep food out of that danger zone as much as possible. And you really only have 2 hours that you can spend in that time zone. So if you're
I
doing
see.
a buffet table, or when you take the turkey out of the oven on Thanksgiving,
Sure.
you don't leave it for 10 hours on the counter. So the clock's ticking, and
Okay.
you should use that 2-hour limit. But that also includes the time before cooking and the time with leftovers
Which
and
we
that
don't
sort of
think
thing.
about.
So
Yeah,
you're trying to
sure.
avoid 40 to 140.
Do you have a word on cooking thermometers? I know we should be using them for more than just our Thanksgiving turkey, which is usually when I get mine out.
No kidding. And there's so much technology right now
Okay.
with thermometers. There's digital, there's the conventional thermometers, there's those that you can leave in and those that you can take out to the grill and put in. One other thing that I learned not that long ago
okay.
was that you insert the thermometer into a hamburger from the side or into a chicken breast, not like this, where you might go all the way through, and so you're not
sure.
taking the temperature of the actual meat or the flesh that you're cooking.
So it's important how we place them. Yes.
And that you use it.
Yes.
It's a great
Yes.
gift to give mom
Yes. I know.
or to give your
We
daughter.
have to get
It's
it out of the drawer. Use of slow cookers. Again, this is something I use all the time. I love my slow cooker, but you're saying there's one recipe we really shouldn't be using in our slow cooker.
Well, I'm intrigued a bit by this slow cooker overnight oatmeal.
Okay.
It appealed to me until I got to thinking about that. And if you
Okay.
take raw oats, which might have Bacillus cereus, a pathogen,
Okay.
in them, then normally you put the oats in boiling water, no
Yes.
problem. But if you're going to go all night at a low temperature, and some of the slow cookers don't even tell you
Yes.
what the temperature
And
is.
that is bothersome.
And so you don't know if it's 100 degrees or if it's 160 degrees. So I just think we should evaluate things like that. And when I use my slow cooker, which I love too, I turn it up high to get things going.
Yes.
And then turn it back.
I do that as well. I do that as well. Nancy, let's make the point that not all bacteria is bad. What is your word on that?
Oh, one of the greatest assets that we have as human beings is the gut microbiome, as they say, or the human microbiome. And so there's bacteria and microbes that are beneficial to us. And actually, they compete with the bad guys or the pathogens.
Okay.
And so we want to promote those. And that's why we take probiotic supplements, why we eat fermented vegetables like sauerkraut, and that to get some competition going.
Okay.
And also to make up for the damage that's done with antibiotics. So think twice before you beg your doctor to give you an antibiotic for a viral infection, which it's not going to work for anyway. And so the more we take antibiotics, the more we disrupt the balance
I see.
in our gut. And so you can set yourself
we can be
up
our
for
own worst enemy.
Yes, yes.
Nancy, there's so much more that we could talk about, but I'm afraid our time is drawing short here. We're going to display your website for our viewers to access. And while we are doing that, I would just like to have you tell us what your hopes and dreams are for these nanobugs.
Well, you know, in the public schools, there's the STEM initiative.
Yes.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. And we're promoting that kind of learning with students so they can see the technology that's matched to the why of the science behind it and why those inventions are important. And so that's the way we're being educated. We're educating our children, and I think that's what we should do as mature adults who miss that kind of education.
Yes.
And now the newest aspect of STEM education is to add an A for art.
Okay.
We've found that when you introduce art to the student's mind in conjunction with all of the technology and the math, put it all together, you can do a lot for innovation. Okay. And so I'm hoping that the nanobugs can be the art that causes some innovation in technology and makes good use of the science. So I'm hopeful that the nanobugs will end up being to microbiology what Jurassic Park was to paleontology.
That's perfect. Perfect, Nancy. Thank you so much for being here. And we are now going to put on a clip showing one of your talented nanobugs in action. As we all remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Is my name. Making people sick is my game. I'm just a little virus, that is true, but that don't keep me from infecting you. I'm popular in almost every nation, in a very large part of the population.